Hello students, so we'll start our new chapter from first flight. The chapter name is From the Diary of Anne Frank. So this lesson is an export from the Diary of a Young Girl or Diary of Anne Frank. So it is an autobiography that was first published in 1947. So in this, Anna has expressed her thoughts in a diary which was gifted to her by her on her 13th birthday. Okay, so she has named this diary as a Kitty, which she considered as her only true friend. So she mentioned about her childhood, her family, and a lot other things that she told no one else. So before going through the lesson, there is a section called "Before You Read." So what I want you to do is you kindly read that section very carefully. Okay, so after that, there will also be a video on a biography of a short documentary video of Anna Frank. So I want you to watch that video also, as well as that I will also be sending some photographs. So kindly see that photographs. All right. So once you understand what actually this diary is about, then we'll move on to our lesson. All right. So I think you have finished watching the videos and you have gotten bit idea on who is Anne Frank. So now we'll go through the lesson. Writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. So the author, who is Anne Frank, she says that she feels that it is strange and unusual for her to write a diary about her feelings and experiences. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else would be interested in the musing of 13-year-old schoolgirl. Musing means thought. है कसैको थट कसैको विचारलाई we call it musing. So she says that it because it was the first time she was doing, she feels this. Okay, because she said that no one will be interested in musing or reading the thought about a young schoolgirl. So she thinks later even she shall not be interested in reading it. Okay. Oh, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all kind of things off my chest. So, but then she puts this thought away. Can decided that she should write if she feels like doing so. Okay, so she feels that the need to write because there were a lot of thoughts she has been holding on है उसकोमा धेरै विचार छ धेरै कुरा थटहरू छ. So she thought कि it is she should यहाँ चाहिँ even greater need to get all kind of things off my chest भन्दैछ है. यहाँ चाहिँ उसको हृदयमा भएको मुटुमा भएको धेरै जुन कुराहरू छ जुन थट्सहरू छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ I should jot it down अथवा I should put it on a diary. Okay, so there is a thought also एउटा के भन्छ एउटा विचार पनि छ. It's a known way of saying कि if you write one's thought in a diary, it acts as therapy. है कतिजनाको यो मनमा कतिवटा गुटमुटेको हुन्छ विचारहरू है अनि त्यो हामीले डायरीमा लेख्दा चाहिँ त्यो मन हल्का हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा छ. So maybe because of this she make the decision of writing the diary. Paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. So here, listless, so with no energy or interest. All right. So the author says that the paper has more capacity to absorb thoughts than people. Okay, so people have low patience level, but piece of paper being a non-living thing would not refuse to absorb our thought. So this realization of this thought came to her one day when she was feeling more sad, right? And sad, confused, and then used. Right? And she could not even decide whether to go out or stay at home that time. I find in a state where I was brooding. So brooding means engaged in or showing deep thought about something that makes one sad, angry, or worried. Okay, so when she finally decided to stay at home, she sat being depressed in her deep thought. Yes, Paper does have more patience, and since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff back notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit differences. So again she thought that the paper had more patience, and she decided to write everything that came in her mind. होइन उसको दिमागमा जे हुन्छ she decided to write everything because she did not intend on making someone to read unless she found a real friend भन्दैछ. Okay, so she meant a friend whom she could share all her secret. Real friend भन्दा चाहिँ जबसम्म चाहिँ she won't find a real friend whom she could share all her secret, she will write it in a diary. Now I am back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. यहाँ prompted भनेको provoke है कसैलाई provoke गराउनु. So the author then comes back to the point where she thought of beginning to write. It is because she is lonely and she has no friend to talk. Right. Let me put it more clearly. Since no one will believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in this world, and I am not. So she then goes on explaining why she feels the need for a friend. Right? She feels that no one is going to believe that the young girl is alone in this world. So which practically she is not alone. Right? I have loving parents and a 16 years old sister, and there are about 30 people I can tell friends. I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home. So she says that she has a loving family, near about 30 people that can be called friends, loving aunts, good place to stay. She has her parents and a 16-year-old sister. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. So this depicts the clear picture of a happy family. Okay, she has a very happy family, but one thing that lacks in her life is a true friend, the presence of a true friend whom she can share everything. All I think about when I am with friends is having a good time, and I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everything. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. So she does have a good time with a friend, but they talk about stuff but not real stuff. Alright, so despite trying hard, they are unable to get closer because she has friend. Alright, so त्यो साथीहरूसँग चाहिँ she is having a good time, but she cannot share the inner things है भित्रीय कुराहरू के गर्न सक्दैन सेयर गर्न सक्दैन अनि उनीहरू एकदमै क्लोज पनि छैन. सो त्यही कारणले गर्दा चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ we don't seem to be able, we भनेको चाहिँ and Frank and her friend होइन, they don't seem to be able to get any closer अनि that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately they are not liable to change. That is why I've started a diary. यहाँ चाहिँ के भन्दैछ, confide means to tell a person thing privately, एकदम भित्रीय कुरा भन्नुको लागि चाहिँ what we call is a confide in English है. Liable भनेको यहाँ चाहिँ likely भनेको. Alright, so she feels that maybe it is her who is not able to trust anyone with her private stuff. यहाँ चाहिँ maybe it's my fault भन्छ है. So she's saying maybe it's my fault है कि मैले मेरो प्राइभेट कुराहरू, मेरो भित्रीय कुराहरू मैले I cannot share अथवा I cannot trust them है. अनि that's the reason why she feels कि she have to write an diary, or she should start writing the diary. To enhance the image of this long-awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the fact in this diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this friend Kitty. Okay, enhance means to increase. कुनै कुरालाई increase गर्नलाई त्यसलाई enhance भनिन्छ. अनि what she's saying कि in order to enhance, increase the imagination of long awaited friend भनेको a diary भनेको है जसको दिमागमा छ त्यो डायरीलाई चाहिँ अझै राम्रोसँग इन्हान्स गर्नको निम्ति चाहिँ she doesn't want to jot down भनेको लेख्नु to write something है अनि जो नर्मल पिपलहरुले whatever they jot down त्यस्तो खालको नर्मल कुराहरु चाहिँ she doesn't want to jot down in that diary है अनि she wants the diary to be her best friend. Okay, she wants her diary to be a best friend and she's saying that she gonna call her friend Kitty. Okay, so she want to name that diary Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I had provided a brief sketch of my life as much as I dislike doing so. So plunge भनेको jump or dive quickly. So she thinks that writing without giving details about the background of the story would be very ineffective. So despite not wanting to do so, she doesn't want to write the background, or she doesn't want to write the background of her life. She says that it might get ineffective. So despite not wanting to do so, she gives a brief sketch of her life. My father, the most adorable father I've ever seen, did not marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. Okay, so she refers to her father as the most loving father one could get. Okay, so her father married her mother when he was at 36. Okay, and her mother was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926 and 26. Okay, so she says that her sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. I was born on 12 June 1929. So and Frank was born on 12th of June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. So until she was 4, she lived in Frankfurt with her family. My father immigrated to Holland in 1933. Immigrated means आफ्नो देशलाई छोडेर अर्को देशमा अर्को जग्गामा बस्नलाई permanently settle हुनलाई चाहिँ immigrate भन्छ है. So she says that my father immigrated to Holland in 1933. So her father left Frankfurt, Germany, and she settled in Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September. So her mother, whose name is Edith Hollander Frank, so she went with him to the Holland in September, while Margaret and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. And while they were shifting, उनीहरु जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ उसको दिदी जो मार्गोट छ अनि एन फ्र्याङ्कलाई चाहिँ आछेन भन्ने जग्गामा उसको बोजूसँग ग्रान्डमदरसँग बस्नु निम्ति चाहिँ पठाए भन्दैछ. Margot went to Holland in December. अनि त्यसकै डिसेम्बरमा मार्गरेट चाहिँ where she went to Holland and I followed her in February. है अनि फेब्रुअरीमा then लास्टमा चाहिँ Anne Frank also shifted to Holland. When I was plunked down on the tables as a birthday present for Margot. Plunk भनेको put down है अनि उ जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ मेबी मार्गरेटको त्यति बेला के थियो if you see मार्गरेटलाई चाहिँ के छ I was plunked down on a table as a birthday present for Margot एक्लै थियो अनि उलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँ एना फ्र्याङ्क लाँदा चाहिँ एउटा बर्थडे प्रेजेन्ट लगेको जस्तो गर्यो भन्दैछ. Alright. Right away at the Montessori nursery school, I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Miss Couperus, the headmistress. So she's saying that she was right away, as soon as she reached Holland, she was right away sent to Montessori nursery school. In that school, she stayed till she was 6 years old. At that time, I started in first form. First class, she started her studies in Montessori school. So in the sixth form, sixth class, her teacher was Miss Couperus, the headmistress. Couperus, the headmistress, the headmistress, plus she was her class teachers also. At the end of the year, we were both in tears that we said a heartbreaking farewell. Miss Couperus was farewell, and when the farewell was, both of them were crying. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with a little celebration. So in the same year, in summer of 1941, her grandma, she was very ill and she has to do an operation. So her birthday को चाहिँ त्यस्तो डरलाग्दो ग्रान्ड भएन इट वाज जस्ट सानो सेलिब्रेसन गरेर त्यो बर्थडे चाहिँ त्यतिकै बित्यो भन्दैछ Grandma died in January 1942. So finally, her grandmother died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. So she's saying that nobody in the family knows how much Anne Frank missed her grandmother, how much she loved her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and grandma's candle was light along with the race. So she's saying that her birthday was celebrated in 1942 मा पनि उसको बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट भयो अनि त्यो बर्थडे चाहिँ एकदम राम्रोसँग बनायो बिकज लास्ट इयर जो ग्रान्डमा बिमार हुँदाखेरि राम्रो बनाएको थिएन हैन सो त्यो लास्ट इयरको बदलामा चाहिँ यो इयर चाहिँ राम्रोसँग बनाउने भनेर उनीहरूले के त्यो बर्थडे मनायो अनि द्याट बर्थडेमा चाहिँ व्हाट दे डिड वाज ग्रान्डमाको क्यान्डल पनि इट वाज लाइट अमङ द rest of the birthday candles. The four of us are still doing well. So she's saying that four of us, her father, mother, sister, and herself, is still doing well. And that brings me to the present date of 20th June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. So she said that her family is doing well, which sums up her background and brings her to the present date of 20 of the short is sum up so that brings the present date of June 20, 1942 when she is writing her diary. Okay. Saturday 20th June 1942. Dearest Kitty. So on June 20th 1942 Anne begins writing in her diary addressing it as her friend Kitty. Our entire class is quacking in its boot. Quacking भनेको shake or tremble. एकदम डरले काम्नुलाई. So she's saying that entire class को बुझ्छ जो डरले कामिरहेको छ भन्नु मतलब they are all nervous. Alright. So the reason of course is the forthcoming meeting in which teacher will decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. Right? So the reason behind is about the result. So which is unpredictable and will be decided by the meeting of the teachers in which they will select student who will go to next form next class and who will be kept back. Half of the class is making beds. Jean and Alive ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, Jean and Jacques, who have stopped their entire holiday saving on their bed. Stock bed or chance. Okay, so many students are making bed. Some had put their entire summer saving at the stake. And she and her friend also make fun of the nervous boys. Right? They were laughing. They were laughing at the nervous and the beating entire summer saving beating man. को पास भने अथवा को हुँदैन त्यसको बेटिङ लागेको देखेर चाहिँ उनीहरुको त्यो सिलीनेस देखेर उनीहरुको मूर्खता देखेर Sian or friend Sian is laughing at them भन्दैछ From morning to night it is you are going to pass no I am not yes you are no I am not even she is bleeding the branches and many angry outbursts can't calm them down the whole day they are saying that I am going to pass you are going to pass I am not है नर्मली हुन्छ इभन तिमीहरु पनि स्कुलमा हुँदाखेरि रिजल्ट आउनु भन्दा अगाडि ला म त पास हुन्छु होला म हुँदिन यु अल्सो हैव सेम डिस्कसन अनि उनीहरु पनि त स्टुडेन्ट्स हो सो दे आर हेभिङ द सेम काइन्ड अफ डिस्कसन कि तँ पास हुन्छस् म हुँदिन हैन म हुँदिन होला भन्छ फेरि यस यु आर यो खालको गन्तन हुँदैछ है अनि शी वाज भेरी पोलाइट उसको साथी जी वाज भेरी पोलाइट एज शी ट्राई टु स्टप देम फ्रम मेकिङ noises है यहाँ चाहिँ नोइज भन्छ प्लिडिङ भनेको रिक्वेस्ट गर्नु इमोसनल अपिल ग्लान्सेस भनेको फटक्कै हेर्नु टु सी हाउ इट लुक है एकदम छट्टै हेर्नु है उनीहरूले जीले एकदमै प्लिड गर्दैछ अथवा उनले रिक्वेस्ट गर्दैछ कि नट टु मेक नोइज है काम डाउन टु काम देम डाउन भनेको उनीहरू सायद हल्ला गर्दै थियो त्यो कारण हल्ला गर्नु नगर भन्दै थियो अनि इभन उसको एङ्गरनेस है उसको एकदम रिसाएर जुन आउटब्रस्ट छ त्यसले पनि तिमीको जुन हल्लालाई के गर्न सकेको थिएन काम गर्न गरिसकेको छैन भन्दैछ If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of a class should be kept back. But the teacher are the most unpredictable creature on the earth. So, according to Anne, about a quarter of class भनेको 25%. जति क्लास छ त्यसमा 25% क्लास should not be allowed to pass. है 25% स्टुडेन्ट्सलाई चाहिँ पास हुनै हुँदैन उनीहरूलाई त्यही क्लासमा राख्नुपर्छ because they hardly respond or take any part of any activity भन्दैछ हैन so she refer them as dummies है उनीहरू केही नगर्ने केटाहरू है क्लासमा हुन्छ कतिजना केटाहरू कोही केही न होमवर्क दिन्छ न पढ्छ न के गर्छ त्यस्तो केटाहरूलाई चाहिँ एन्डले चाहिँ डमिज भन्छ डमिज भनेको एन अब्जेक्ट डिजाइन टु सर्भ एज अ सब्स्टिट्युट फर रियल है उनीहरू चाहिँ डमिज ओके फोन देखेको छ डमिज हैन सो इट्स सेम टु सेम एज अजिन सो यहाँ चाहिँ के गर्दैछ जुन केटाहरू जो छ होमवर्क नगर्ने काम नपर्ने है उनीहरू स्टुडेन्ट जस्तो मात्रै छ तर केही कामै नगर्नेलाई चाहिँ उनीहरूले डमिज भन्दैछ है अनि त्यो चाहिँ क्वार्टर अफ द स्टुडेन्ट्स आर लाइक डमिज है के कामै गर्दैन एक्टिभिटी नै गर्दैन एन्ड बट सी सेइङ द टिचर्स डिसिजन क्यान बी प्रेडिक्टेड है किनभने अब टिचरले के गर्छ उनीहरू पास गराउँछ के गर्दैन कि सो इट्स अनप्रेडिक्टेबल क्रिएचर अफ दि अर्थ I am not so worried about my girlfriend and myself. So Anne is saying, I am not worried about my girlfriend. मेरो साथी र मेरो लागि चाहिँ I am not worried because we will make it. हामी के गर्छौँ हामी पास हुन्छ. The only subject I am not sure is about is math. है अनि she is saying कि मलाई डाउट लागेको चाहिँ के हो म्याथमेटिक्स मा थियो. Anyway, all we can do is wait. है अनि उसले भन्छ तर पनि अब यो प्रेडिक्ट गरेर के गर्नु so whatever what we have to do is हामी जे पनि गरे भने we have to wait until then we keep telling each other not to lose heart right so result नआइन्जेलसम्म उनीहरूले एकअर्कालाई के भन्छ not to lose heart भनेको is a I do so which means not to be discouraged है discouraged हतार पास भइहाल्छ भनेर उनीहरूले एकअर्कालाई भने भन्दैछ I get along pretty well with all my teachers there are 9 of them 7 men and 2 women she is saying she is very good with all the teachers सबै टिचर्ससँग उसको राम्रो छ there are total 9 teachers out of which 7 are men and 2 are women. Mr. Kissing, the old Fozzie, who teaches math, was annoyed with me for ages because I talk too much. Old Fozzie means old-fashioned person. Annoyed means angry or irritated. So she is saying कि त्यो टिचर्सहरु बाइकमा चाहिँ एकजना टिचर्स हुनुहुन्छ जो चाहिँ मिस्टर केसिङ छ he is an old-fashioned man and he teaches maths है अनि उ चाहिँ जहिले पनि के हुन्छ she was annoyed or irritated for me because she is very much talkative एकदमै बेसी बोलेको कारणले गर्दा मिस्टर केसिङ is always irritated with me भन्दैछ after several warning he assigned me a homework right so despite several warning यहाँ चाहिँ के को warning भन्दा चाहिँ बेसी नबोल भनेर warning दिँदा पनि है and didn't stop talking in a class which prompted him to give her a homework right extra homework भन्दैछ an essay on a subject a chatterbox right chatterbox भनेको person who like to chatter or जो चाहिँ एकदमै बेसी बोल्छ talkative लाई chatterbox भनिन्छ है अनि त्यो होमवर्क चाहिँ what was that it was to write an essay right म्याथ टिचरले चाहिँ n लाई दिएको now you have to write an essay on the subject or chatterbox right a chatterbox what can you write about that right? So she is saying yeah अब chatterbox को विषयमा लेख्नु भन्दैछ so what can I write about chatterbox भन्दैछ I don't worry about that later I decided I jot down a title on my notebook tuck in my bag and try to keep quiet right it's kind of funny अब यसमा के लेख्नु अब chatterbox को विषयमा हैन I have no idea so I had worried about that म बादमा यसलाई लेख्छु भनेर so she decided that she will write it later okay so she just jotted भनेको write right छिटो लेख्नुलाई write jot भन्छ अघि पनि we have that same word coming jot down यो jot is the same word to write quickly okay so she quickly write down the title in her notebook अनि talk away भनेको जुन बटन छ त्यो लाउनु हैन उसको ब्यागमा ब्याग भित्र हालेर टक भनेको भित्र हाल्नु okay ब्याग भित्र हालेछ अनि she tried to keep quiet That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eyes. So that evening, after she finished her homework, suddenly she remembered, caught my eyes भनेको she remembered. Okay, उसले कुनै कुरा remember भनेको caught my eyes भन्छ. She remembered the note about the essay. I began thinking about the subject while chewing up the tip of my fountain pen. So she began thinking about the topic while chewing the tip of fountain pen. Okay, it's actually a gesture. कसैले हामी कोही बेला एकदम deep सोच्दाखेरि we do this thing. We chew. हामी either we fountain pen को टुप्पो चिज गर्छौँ, chew गर्छौँ, अथवा हामी nail पनि नङ पनि हामी टोक्ने गर्छौँ. So this is a indication of deep thought. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing argument to prove the necessity of talking. I thought and thought, and suddenly I have an idea. Ramble भनेको to talk or write in length. So she's saying कि anyone, right? Anyone can write or mention mention random stuff, writing for the sake of filling the pages. And page fill गर्नु त भनेर some people, anyone can just write randomly. Okay, but she wanted to come up with a convincing argument because she wants to convince her teacher that talking is very necessity. Okay, so she thought and thought and thought. Suddenly she had an idea. I wrote the 3 pages. अनि त्यो essay चाहिँ she wrote 3 pages. Mr. Kissing had assigned me and was satisfied. अनि 3 पेज हो कि Mr. Kissing म्याथ टिचरले दिएको assign गरेको जुन homework छ त्यो homeworkलाई चाहिँ 3 पन्ना लेखेको छ अनि finally she was satisfied of her work. I argued that talking is a student trait and that I would do my best to keep under control, but I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there is not much you can do about inherit traits. So traits means quality, inherit भनेको derived genetically from one parents to ancestor. आफ्नो parents कोबाट अथवा आफ्नो बाजे बोजूकोबाट जुनै पनि कुरा हामीले स्वभाव हुन सक्छ, धन सम्पत्ति हुन्छ, त्यो लिनुलाई चाहिँ के भन्छ इनहेरिट हुन्छ, त्यसलाई इनहेरिट भनिन्छ. Okay, so she mentioned that talking is a student trait, है, स्टुडेन्ट को एउटा क्वालिटी हो, है, स्टुडेन्ट को एउटा क्वालिटी हो भनेर she had argued अथवा त्यहाँ लेखेको थियो, है. अनि she will try to better herself as a student to control talking, right? But talking is something cannot be eliminated completely. But I would never able to clear myself. I'll control, but I'll never stop, right, being talkative because you have it. Because she also talk as much I did. प्याटर मेरो आमा पनि बोल्छ भन्दैछ, है. अनि जब आफ्नो आमा बाउ त्यसरी बोल्ने छ अनि त्यो ट्रेड अथवा त्यही क्वालिटी जब मैले इनहेरिट गरेँ भने त्यसमा चाहिँ नो वन क्यान डु एनिथिङ भनेर एन फ्र्याङ्क इज सेइङ. Mr. Kissing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the second next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. So the professor found Anna Frank's argument to be very amusing. मजा लाग्छ, है, मजा लागेर उसले हाँसेछ पनि he had a good laugh, है. तर त्यो गर्दा पनि she did not stop talking in his second lesson. So again second time pani he gave her second essay. This time it was supposed to be on an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible, not able to be changed. Incorrigible. So I handed it in, and Mr. Kissing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. So again she finished her essay and handed it over to her. And Mr. Kissing has nothing to complain for the 2 whole lessons. However, during the 3rd lesson, he finally had enough. Right? And the 2 lessons, Mr. Kissing didn't say anything. And Frank he could not tolerate. Right? And Frank, as a punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled "Quack Quack Quack," said the mistress Chatterbox. Right? And Frank and the teacher said, Anna Frank, as a punishment for talking in class, you have to write an essay, and the topic for essay is "Quack Quack Quack," said Mistress Chatterbox. Okay, you have to write an essay. The class roared. I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of chatterbox. It was time to come up with something else, something original. So roared normally is a गर्जिनु. Okay, so here it means laugh. Exhausted completely used up अथवा सकिनु भनेको. Alright, ingenuity भनेको the quality of being clever or original and inventive. When the professor scolded her for the third time and punished her, the whole class started laughing. Right? As a result, she has to pretend to be amused. She also started laughing. Right? And she said, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity, मेरोमा जुन क्वालिटी थियो अथवा ओरिजिनल जुन यो एसेमा लेख्नुपर्ने जुन मेरो जति विचार थियो है that vichar all everything has been used up right and used up, so it was time to come with something original, something else. अर्कै कुरा लेख्नु पर्यो, something original. My friend San, who is good at poetry, offered to help me write an essay from the beginning to end in the verse, and I jumped for joy. Okay, verse भनेको writing arranged in a metric rhythm अथवा verse चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने एकदम rhythmमा हुन्छ. So rhyming word, you know that poemमा there are different type of rhymes. Okay, so त्यो verse जस्तै है गीतको verse जस्तै अथवा पोमको verse जस्तै उसलाई हेल्प गर्छु भनेर चाहिँ जब उसको फ्रेन्ड उसको साथी सेनले भन्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ she was very happy. अनि she jumped with a joy भन्छ, खुसीले उफ्रे भन्दैछ. Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject, but I had made sure the joke was on him. Ridiculous भनेको deserving अथवा inviting decision of mockery. Mockery भनेको खिसी गर्नु. Okay, so what she's saying, the whole is a senior assignment scenario. जुन अगाडि assignment दिएको जुन पनि कुराहरु छ, यो कुरा चाहिँ it was to make Anne Frail ashamed. त उलाई खिसी गर्नको निम्ति यो सबै assignment दिएको. तर Anna Frank is saying that she has to make sure that she gave him an effective reply. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. So she is saying she finally wrote her third assignment in form of poem and it turned out to be great. अथवा it turned out to be एकदम राम्रो भयो भन्दैछ. It was about a mother duck and a father son with 3 baby ducklings who were bitten to death by a father because they quacked too much. That poem was about a father's son. Okay, swan भनेको हाँस जस्तै हुन्छ. Okay, so it was the poem was about a father's son who bite his 3 baby ducklings to death because of their noisy name. Okay, because उसको नानीहरु एकदमै बेसी क्वाक क्वाक गरेर कराको कारणले त चाहिँ फादर सनले चाहिँ उसको सबै नानीहरुलाई के गर्दै मारिदिए भन्ने यो विषयमा she had written the poem. Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke the right way. He read the poem to the class, adding his own comments and to several other classes as well. Right? So to her good luck, the professor took joke lightly. Right? त्यो कुरालाई Professor Kissing एकदमै lightly लियो भनेछ. So the professor recited the entire poem in front of classes while giving his own remark on it, comments also. Okay. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework. So author being fortunate enough to talk uninterruptedly. After this incident, right, after this incident, यो poem लेखेको बादमा चाहिँ she was allowed to talk. एकदम जति बोल्दा पनि हुन्छ अनि she haven't been assigned any extra homework भनेछ. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing always makes jokes this day. Contrary भनेको opposite of nature. है तर अहिले चाहिँ के छ, पहिला Kissing त रिसिन्थ्यो एन फ्र्याङ्क बेसी बोलेर हैन झिझक मान्थ्यो अनि एन फ्र्याङ्कलाई के दिन्थ्यो एकदमै होमवर्क दिएको गर्थे as a punishment. So when Anne Frank wrote the poem on the son, त्यो बादमा Mr. Kissing ले चाहिँ अब के भन्छ इरिटेट हुन छोड्यो भन्छ है. त्यसको बदली अपोजिट अन द कन्ट्री अपोजिट अफ द नेचर. पहिला नबोल्ने थियो, इरिटेट हुने थियो, तर अहिले चाहिँ उ इरिटेट हुँदैन. बट Mr. Kissing always makes jokes these days. Okay, so This is the lesson about the diary of a young girl. है अनि यो जुन लेसन छ तिमीलाई दिएको लेसन इज अ भेरी ब्युटिफुल पार्ट अफ एम फ्राङ्क है उसको स्कुलिङको टाइममा एउटा ब्युटिफुल उसको जीवनमा बितेको मिठो कुराहरू यहाँ लेखिएको छ तर इफ यु गो थ्रु अदर डायरी मोर है यो डायरी आई हेभ सेन्ड यु द भिडियो त्यहाँ त एकदमै दुःखको कुराहरू छ सो आई सजेस्ट इफ यु फाइन्ड है अहिले त अनलाइनको जमाना छ इफ फाइन्ड द डायरी अफ एना फ्राङ्क काइन्डली रिड उसको डल्लै मृत्युसम्मको त्यो डायरी छ अनि इट इज वान अफ दि मेन एभिडेन्स अफ द के भन्छ जुन सेकेन्ड वर्ल्ड वारमा जर्मनीमा भएको जुन हलोकास्ट थियो जुन प्रकारको जीविसहरूलाई गरिने अत्याचार थियो त्यसको विषयमा मजाले लेखिएको छ अनि यो एउटा इज अ काइन्ड अफ एभिडेन्स पनि हो सो देयर आर सम what you call लेसनमा अब एक दुईवटा एक्सर्साइजेसहरू छ वेयर यु डु अल द एक्सर्साइज है अनि अगाडिको इभन इन फ्रन्ट अल्सो तिमीहरूको फ्रन्टमा पनि एक्सर्साइज छ बिचमा पनि देयर आर सर्टन क्वेसन्स छ अनि लास्टमा पनि तिमीहरूको क्वेसन्स छ एन्ड देयर आर ग्रामेटिकल एरियाज अल्सो सो काइन्डली डु है त्यो बिचको क्वेसन एन्सर गर्ने फर्स्टको पनि यो डु अनि लास्टको पोर्सन पनि जहाँ ग्रामेटिकल सर्टन एक्टिभिटिजहरू छ यु काइन्डली डु द्याट अनि सेन्ड मी थ्रु माई पर्सनल वाट्सएप alright so stay home stay safe है आफूलाई सेनिटाइज गर्ने एकदमै आफू being a student being an educated citizen of this state so you should be keeping yourself safe from everything अहिले यो पेन्डेमिकमा एकदमै हामी चपेरामा छ so kindly है सोशल डिस्टेन्स मेन्टेन गर्ने अनि आफूलाई एकदमै सफा राख्ने alright so take care bye